Amazon, the company that promised to be Earth's most customer-obsessed company, the place where you can buy anything and get it delivered in 2 days, or even 2 hours. But what if I told you that the customers are angry? The sellers are losing money. The employees are getting injured at 6 times the industry average. And the investors, well, they're starting to ask some very uncomfortable questions. What if the very business model that made Amazon the giant it is today is actually destroying it from the inside? Let's find out. Back in 1994, a young Jeff Bezos had a simple idea. He was working on Wall Street when he noticed something interesting. The internet was growing by 2,300% every year. So he quit his job, drove across the country, and started selling books out of his garage in Seattle. The company was called Amazon, named after the world's largest river. The timing was perfect. The internet was exploding to every household in America, and people were going to shop online. Bezos famously hand-delivered the company's millionth order himself, flying all the way to Japan. But Amazon didn't want to stay small. While competitors like eBay stayed away from expensive infrastructure costs, Amazon made a bold bet. They would build their own massive warehouses, their own delivery network, their own trucks, their own drivers. The idea was simple: control everything, deliver faster than anyone else, and dominate e-commerce in America. And for a while, it worked beautifully. Here's something Amazon doesn't want you to know. Customer satisfaction has dropped from 88% to 79% over the past decade. The Better Business Bureau has processed nearly 59,000 complaints about Amazon in just 3 years. 59,000? So what's going wrong? Well, remember how Amazon built that massive infrastructure to deliver fast? Turns out, when you grow that big, that fast, things start to break down. Customer service got outsourced to call centers. Overseas, customers started complaining about language barriers, long wait times, and agents who seemed to be reading from scripts. When you really needed help, good luck getting it. The fundamental problem that nobody talks about is the massive gap between online and physical shopping. Think about it. When you buy something in a physical store, you can see it, touch it, feel the quality, maybe even see it working on display. You know exactly what you're getting before you pay. Online, you're looking at carefully staged photos that might not represent reality at all. You're trusting product descriptions written by people trying to sell you something. You're making purchasing decisions based on incomplete information. Now, Amazon spent billions building warehouses, delivery networks, and logistics systems. They positioned themselves as the customer-obsessed company that would solve this fundamental problem of online shopping. The promise was simple: trust us, we'll make sure online shopping is as reliable as physical shopping, maybe even better because of the convenience. Think about it. If Amazon could guarantee that online products were as good as what you'd find in stores, people would naturally choose online shopping. Who wouldn't want the same quality delivered to their door? But Amazon made a critical mistake. They focused all their attention and billions of dollars on infrastructure and logistics. Fast delivery, big warehouses, efficient systems. They became obsessed with the how fast instead of the how good. What customers expected was that Amazon would be their trusted curator. They'd ensure product quality, vet sellers, make sure what you ordered matched what you received. What customers actually got was a platform flooded with millions of products from unknown sellers, no quality control, pictures that don't match reality, products that feel cheap, break easily, or simply don't work beyond 90 days. And when something goes wrong, despite all those customer service investments, good luck getting real help. The truth becomes clear. Amazon was never really a customer-centric company. They were an infrastructure and logistics company selling Prime delivery promises. They could deliver established brands quickly, but they never solved the fundamental problem of product quality, the products which were born in Amazon. Actions speak louder than words, and Amazon's actions showed they cared more about how fast they could deliver disappointment than preventing the disappointment in the first place. In 2024 alone, Amazon had to remove over 15 million counterfeit items. 15 million. But that's just what they caught. How many fake, low-quality or dangerous products made it to customers? The dirty secret of online retail is that it's turned shopping into gambling. Every purchase is a bet that what arrives will match what you expected, and increasingly, customers are losing that bet. Amazon's marketplace was built by small business owners and entrepreneurs. These third-party sellers now make up about 60% of everything sold on Amazon. But here's what Amazon won't tell you. Those sellers weren't just partners. They were the funding source for Amazon's massive infrastructure empire. Amazon had spent billions building warehouses, delivery networks, and logistics systems. They needed money to run this expensive operation, so they came up with a plan: make the sellers pay for it. First, they went after dropshipping. Now, Amazon claims they don't ban dropshipping, but try to actually do it, and you'll discover the truth. Even if you can prove you're buying from legitimate wholesalers, Amazon will find ways to shut you down. Why? Because dropshipping sellers don't use Amazon's expensive warehouses. They don't pay storage fees. They don't generate the infrastructure revenue Amazon desperately needs. So Amazon forces sellers into something called FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon. Suddenly, sellers have to store their products in Amazon warehouses and pay for the privilege. Storage fees, fulfillment fees, monthly subscriptions, sales commissions. Amazon now charges sellers through 208 different types of fees. 208. Many sellers say calculating their actual costs is impossible, but it gets worse. If you want customers to buy your products, you need to get on the first page of the search results. Amazon runs an auction system where sellers bid against each other for visibility. You might spend $2 just for the chance to be seen. Even then, how much is your profit margin and how much you made is a completely different story for another time. But guess what? Who definitely makes money from this bidding war? That's right, Amazon. Then there's the buy box, that add to cart button that wins 98% of sales. Amazon controls who gets it, who gets the order if multiple sellers are selling that particular product, and sellers discovered something infuriating. Amazon favors its own products and sellers who use expensive Amazon services even when other sellers offer better prices. 2 American sellers took Amazon to court over this in 2024. Jeffrey Taylor and Robert Selway argued that Amazon deliberately steered customers toward higher-priced products. They lost. The judge said Amazon's buy box manipulation was just retail marketing. Well, Amazon sellers have a different opinion about it, but the real tragedy is what happened to American sellers when Amazon opened the floodgates to foreign competition. Before Chinese sellers were allowed on Amazon USA, American entrepreneurs were actually making money. Not all of them, but enough to build real businesses. Then Amazon noticed their store subscriptions weren't growing fast enough. American sellers were getting smart, finding ways to succeed despite the fees. So Amazon made a decision that would destroy most American sellers forever. They allowed Chinese manufacturers to get Amazon USA store subscriptions. Suddenly, American sellers faced competition from manufacturers who could sell at cost because they were making their money from manufacturing, not retail profits. Profit margins that were already thin, maybe 30% if you were lucky, collapsed to 5% or even 3%. American sellers couldn't compete. They started losing money on inventory, sitting in Amazon warehouses. And here's the cruelest part. Amazon charges a 15% sales commission on most sales. Think about that. Most retail products generally have profit margins of just 15%. So Amazon takes your entire profit margin as their commission. For doing what exactly? You found the customer, you beat the competition, you took all the risks with your money. Amazon just processed the payment. American sellers started going out of business. Their accounts got suspended by automated systems that made mistakes sometimes but offered no easy appeals process. Businesses built over years destroyed overnight by an algorithm error. Less than 1% of non-American sellers make money on Amazon USA. But the damage to American sellers was already done. Most lost thousands. Some lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in inventory trapped in Amazon warehouses. And if you somehow manage to build a successful product, Amazon has a special offer for you. Once you hit $1 million in annual sales, Amazon approaches you to buy your business at a very decent price. They know your product is proven successful. Now they want to cut out the middleman and keep all the profits themselves. One seller described it perfectly. Amazon built their empire on our backs, then kicked us off the ladder once they reached the top. Amazon employs about 1.5 million people in the United States, but replaces its entire workforce more than once every year. The annual turnover rate is 150%. That's 3 times the industry average. Amazon literally goes through 15 million employees every decade. And this isn't an accident. Internal documents suggest this high turnover is intentional. The thinking: keep the workforce fresh and prevent people from getting comfortable or demanding better conditions. But the human cost is staggering. Amazon workers get injured at nearly 6 times the industry average. 41% of employees report workplace injuries according to a University of Illinois study. The Department of Labor investigated and found workers exposed to high risk of low back injuries and other musculoskeletal disorders due to the physical demands of the job. Amazon had to pay $145,000 in penalties and submit to 2 years of government oversight. Then there's the surveillance. Amazon tracks everything its workers do. Scanner inactivity periods down to fractions of seconds. Speed of task completion. All movements and behaviors stored for 31 days. French regulators called it excessive and fined Amazon $32 million. Workers describe a culture where they're treated like machines, not humans. Bathroom breaks timed. Productivity quotas that seem impossible to meet. Some employees have been seen crying at their desks. And when workers try to organize for better conditions, Amazon spends millions fighting them. The company spent over $14 million in 2022 alone on anti-union consultants. For years, investors loved Amazon's strategy: sacrifice short-term profits for long-term market dominance. But something changed in 2024 and 2025. Amazon announced it would spend $118 billion on capital expenditures in 2025. That's a 50% increase from 2024. Most of this money going toward AI infrastructure and data centers. Investors started asking uncomfortable questions. When will we see returns on this massive spending? Are we sure this AI bet will pay off? Then came the DeepSeek shock. A Chinese company created an AI model that worked just as well as the expensive American versions, but cost a fraction to build and run. Suddenly, investors wondered, is Amazon spending way too much money on the wrong approach? Meanwhile, Amazon's profit engine, Amazon Web Services, started showing cracks. Operating margins dropped from 39.5% to 32.9% in just 3 months. And while AWS was still growing, it was growing much slower than competitors like Microsoft and Google. Even Amazon's retail business, the thing that started it all, was losing money. The North America segment lost $1.6 billion. The international segment lost $1.3 billion, and investors began to realize something troubling. Amazon's massive size might actually be working against it. The company was spending enormous amounts of money, but struggling to turn that spending into profits. While everyone focuses on customers, sellers, employees, and investors, Amazon's impact goes much deeper. Let's start with the environment. Amazon promised to reach net zero carbon emissions by 2040. But in 2024, their emissions actually increased by 6%. The massive data centers needed for AI are incredibly energy hungry. Amazon's carbon emissions have tripled since 2019, when they first made their climate promises. Environmental groups are calling it greenwashing, looking environmentally friendly while actually making the problem worse. Then there's the tax issue. Amazon paid only 6% in federal income taxes in 2021, despite making $35 billion in profits. The statutory rate is 21%. Over 4 years, Amazon maintained just a 5.1% tax rate on over $78 billion in income. That means other taxpayers and smaller businesses have to make up the difference. Amazon uses complex international structures to shift profits to low-tax countries, leaving everyone else to shoulder more of the tax burden. And privacy advocates are alarmed. Amazon has been fined $47 million by US regulators and €746 million by European authorities for privacy violations. The company was caught keeping children's voice recordings even after parents asked them to delete the data. In September 2023, the Federal Trade Commission and 17 state attorneys general filed a massive antitrust lawsuit against Amazon. The allegations are serious. Amazon illegally maintains monopoly power through interlocking anti-competitive and unfair strategies. Prosecutors claim what Amazon does is, first, they punish sellers who offer lower prices on other websites. Second, they force sellers to use expensive Amazon services to get good placement. Third, they manipulate their search results to favor their own products. Amazon removed explicit price-matching contracts in 2019 after earlier antitrust investigations. But prosecutors argue the company still achieves the same result through business practices that effectively prevent sellers from offering lower prices elsewhere. The case is scheduled for trial in October 2026. If the government wins, it could force Amazon to completely restructure how it operates. But this isn't just about one lawsuit. Regulators around the world are taking action. Italy is investigating Amazon for alleged tax evasion worth $1.26 billion. France has fined them for excessive worker surveillance. The European Union is demanding changes to their algorithms. Amazon faces a fundamental question. Can a company this large and this dominant continue operating the way it always has? Amazon didn't just change retail, it created entire new economies. Some legitimate, some questionable, and some downright fraudulent. Let's start with the Amazon guru economy. These are people who claim they made millions selling on Amazon and now want to teach you their secrets for $1,000 per course. Many of these gurus actually lost money on Amazon and are now trying to recover their losses by selling courses. The irony is thick. People who couldn't succeed on Amazon teaching others how to succeed on Amazon. Then there's the tool economy. It's dozens of companies selling software that promises to help you find profitable products to sell on Amazon. The problem? Amazon never releases accurate sales data, so these tools are making educated guesses at best. Sellers spend thousands on these tools, make inventory decisions based on uncertain data, and often lose money when the real market doesn't match the predictions. But the most troubling is the fake review economy. Amazon blocked over 250 million suspected fake reviews in 2023 alone. But new review brokers keep popping up, offering to buy positive reviews and post negative reviews on competitors' products. This creates an arms race where legitimate sellers feel forced to participate in fake reviews just to compete. The entire review system, once a cornerstone of online trust, becomes meaningless. Meanwhile, Amazon's own algorithms are getting gamed. The company says it uses artificial intelligence to detect fraud, but the fraudsters are using AI too. It's become a technological arms race with customer trust as the casualty. Amazon's problems aren't unique in business history. We've seen this pattern before. Remember when IBM dominated computing? When General Motors was the undisputed king of cars? When Kodak owned photography? These companies all seemed invincible until they weren't. The pattern is always similar. Success breeds size. Size breeds complexity. Complexity breeds inefficiency. And eventually, smaller, more nimble competitors find ways to serve customers better. We're already seeing signs of this with Amazon. Competitors like Shopify are giving sellers alternatives. TikTok Shop is attracting younger consumers. Walmart is offering many of the same products at lower prices. Target is providing a more curated shopping experience. Amazon's response has been to double down on what made them successful, spend more money, build more infrastructure, hire more people. But what if that's exactly the wrong approach? What if Amazon has reached the point where their size has become their weakness? Where their scale has made them slow, bureaucratic, and disconnected from the very people they claim to serve? The company that once prided itself on being customer-obsessed now faces the reality that customers, sellers, employees, and investors are all increasingly dissatisfied. The question isn't whether Amazon will survive. They're too big to disappear overnight. The question is whether they can transform themselves before someone else takes their place. So here we are in 2025. Amazon is still enormous, still dominant, still making billions in revenue, but the cracks are showing everywhere. Customer satisfaction is declining. Sellers are leaving for other platforms. Employees are organizing despite massive resistance. Investors are questioning the company's strategy. Regulators are circling. Environmental groups are angry. Communities are pushing back. For the first time in Amazon's history, virtually every major stakeholder group is expressing significant dissatisfaction. That's not a coincidence. It's a symptom of a business model that has prioritized growth and efficiency over relationships and sustainability. Amazon built an empire by promising to be better for customers, sellers, and society. But somewhere along the way, the promise got lost in the pursuit of scale. The company now faces a choice: transform the way they operate or continue down a path that's generating opposition from every direction. History suggests that companies which ignore stakeholder dissatisfaction don't remain dominant forever. Markets have a way of finding alternatives when the incumbent becomes too focused on itself and not focused enough on the people it serves. Amazon's next chapter isn't written yet, but if current trends continue, it might not be the ending Jeff Bezos imagined when he started selling books from his garage 30 years ago. The empire that promised to serve everyone might end up serving no one. Sometimes the biggest threat to a giant isn't a competitor. Sometimes it's the weight of their own success.